Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who taught me this truth and rule well. And I want to say Shalom to Akim and Akwath out there pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. All right, bear with me just a moment. Alright, this one's titled, we spoke about this yesterday. Alright, this one's titled The True Nature of the Edomites. Part 1, I should name it Part 1. Something like that. We'll change it throughout, alright? But yeah, part 1, because this is going to be a, Lord willing, it's going to be a multiple part series. I don't know how many parts, at least, 2 or 3. So the true natures, Slacky, if my mouth could get with the program today, the true nature of the Edomites. Part 1, they love to kill, alright? And of course, the Edomites, we know they love to kill. This came to me, through the Spirit while I was at work the other day. I wanted to, basically go in on a series, okay? Because I was thinking of going through the Spirit, all right, meditating, thinking about, what I could make lessons about, all right? And, I said, I could go on about Esau, but what would I do, all right? And I said, well, they love to kill. All right, well, I didn't say that. It was all through the Spirit. And then I was thinking, well, we could do this, we could do that, all right? And through the Spirit started flowing. So I want to say, I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and basically just do a series. All right, the true nature of the Edomites. Okay, so the ones I have, I don't have. This is the only one I have put together. But in the right off the top of my head, a couple of things that I was thinking about yesterday. We got they love to kill. All right, they love to lie. That's another one. They love to play God. All right. They like to do a lot. They like to do a lot of things. There's other things that I could go into that I'm not even possibly thinking of at the moment. But Lord willing, will come later. All right. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right, and bear with me just 1 minute. I gotta set a reminder on something real quick. Give me a minute. Bear with me, brothers and sisters, or I won't remember to do it. Slovakia. Tomorrow. Alright. Thank you for that. I forget that if I don't do it. So we're going to jump right into it, right? We'll grab a drink and we're going to jump right into it. The first part, right? So Esau, he likes to kill. Okay? He likes to kill. Now, I want to grab right off the bat Genesis 27 and 41, all right, which are, of course, infamous, right? Right after, Jacob, was able to receive the blessing, all right, and we would be, Jacob, all right, because we're his descendants, all right, all the tribes, right? That's why we use that term. Sometimes we call, Israelites Jakes. I almost said that's why we call Jakes Jakes. That's why we call Israelites Jakes, all right, because they come to that line of Jacob, right? So this is when that happened, Genesis 27 and 41. You should be familiar with the context. All right. Well, we'll start up from 38, right? We'll start from 38 because, this is Jacob, basically, Yaiquabbed him, which Yaiquab means Jacob, and that's why we use that term, sometimes. I know, can't remember there's an elder that put that into to use, right? But I can't remember the name of that elder. So Salakia for that. But, pulling a Jacob on him, right? Using that cunning. So in verse 38, so what happened was basically, we don't have the time to read through the whole chapter, but it's an excellent chapter. All right, and basically, he put on, what would you call him? See what the exact word is. Skins. All right, skin. All right, I was going with a different word. I was thinking of a different word, but the skins and the kids of goats upon his hands and upon the smooth of his neck, because Jacob, didn't have much hair. If you look at Jake, they're not really hairy people. All right, they're not. They of course we got hair. Well, I can't necessarily say for myself because I have a lot of traits of other nations. But for Jacob, if you're a so-called Negro, all right, a lot of the time, you don't have much hair on your arms. Okay, and if you do, you can barely see it. Now, I can't say as much for Northern Kingdom, all right, because now I got I believe through the Spirit that I go back to Southern Kingdom through the line of Judah, but it would appear, all right, without looking into that we would be Northern Kingdom, all right, and through the line, so-called Mexicans, all right, Issachar, but we get hairy, all right, so-called Mexicans get hairy. Okay, so I can't say as much for that, but if you ever even look at a so-called black person and compare it to like a so-called Mexican, Mexican dudes have way more hair. Right? It's just the way it is, man. It's just the way it is. All right. So, see in verse 11 it says, "And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man." Jake be smooth. They don't really have all that much hair all over their body, hairy ass legs and shit. All right, so they went through the process with his mother Rebecca, putting skins of goats, all right, all sorts of things to make, put on his garment to make, to have his smell, right? And then then Esau popped up, all right, and then Rebecca made Isaac's favorite food, right? Or was it? Here, right here. So, we'll start from 30. It says, "And it came to pass as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also had made savory meat, and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, Let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, Who art thou? And he said, I am thy firstborn son, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly, and said, Who? Where is he that hath taken venison and brought it to me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him. Yea, and he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, snotty, snot coming down, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety. Let's look up that word. Subtlety. Cunning. Skill, right? Cunning and skill. So, thy brother came with subtlety, and it came with cunning, right? And what does cunning mean?
Cunning.
All right, crafty, having or showing skill in achieving one's ends by deceit or evasion. All right, and this was more of guile. All right.
Guile.
Sly or cunning intelligence. Okay. And hath taken away thy blessing. And that's really because the blessing was meant for Jacob in the first place and not Esau. Because you have these Edomites all over the internet. Why did God allow that? Isn't God wicked for that? Isn't God? That's what they sound like. Literally, if you look up why did God allow? And I'm gonna have to look it up like this because I found it when I was looking up things about this before. I'm sure most of you brothers have, right? Why would God bless Jacob rather than Esau? In the Bible, Jacob stole by deception Esau's blessing. Let it load. Why did God allow that? Why did God allow that? Why did God choose Jacob and not Esau? Why on earth would God bless a jerk like Jacob? Look, graceful abandon. Why? Literally, the title of this is Why on earth would God bless a jerk like Jacob? Why didn't God give Esau back the blessing that Jacob stole? And then it says, why did God favor Esau since Jacob blatantly deceived Isaac? Look at how mad these Edomites. God, why did God allow this? Like God, nah. That's how they sound. Why? Because all these people that are commenting, making these things. Why on earth would God? This one's the best. This one's the best, man. Why on earth would God bless a jerk like Jacob? Why would he bless a jerk like Jacob, man? You know, all fucking crying and shit. And why did God honor Jacob's stealing of Esau's blessing? You know, that's you know. So just unethical procurement of Esau's birthright. Alright, so you can tell these people are Edomites, alright, because they're all screaming and foaming at the mouth and crying and snot's running down, just like Esau when he came back and found out he wasn't getting his blessing. That's why you can tell, like, all these Christian websites, you know, the way they word it, you can tell they're really being disrespectful to the Lord. Okay? Why did God allow it? Because he can, you dumb motherfucker. That's why. Because he can. Do you not understand that? Do you not understand that the Most High can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants? Alright? Because he's the Lord and he can do it. That's why he did it. Alright? And you don't even understand that. Why? Because you're not Jacob, you're Esau. You're Esau. Alright? You're Esau. Why did God say he loved Jacob but hated Esau? You know? You Christians, man, you Edomite Christians are done. Alright, you're done. Alright, you're through. And you can tell with the way, was it okay for Jacob to lie to his father? You know, all these things, you know. Well, it's not fair that God loved Esau, God loved Jacob and not, you know, just, you know. You can tell who you are, man, just by the way you act. Alright? You're getting all upset and snotty and crying about it. Fucking tears dripping all up in your beer and your soup. Alright? You can tell who you are. You can tell you're Esau by that. Okay? It's and we just had to show that because when you look up those articles, it's all why did God bless a jerk like Jacob? You know? You can tell who that person is. You can tell they don't go back to the seed line of Jacob. Alright? You can tell they go back to, you know, they go back to Esau, man. They're Edomites because that's why they're so mad about it. They're still mad about this blessing all these years later. Alright? And there's that scripture, kept his wrath perpetually. It says, Amos 1:11, it says, thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, Edom's another word for Esau, right? Esau, Edom, Idumea, all the same people, right? And for 4 I will not turn away the border of wickedness, right? And for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof. Of who? Edom. It says, thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he, Esau, did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. Alright? Anger did tear perpetually. What is perpetual? What is perpetual? We're not going to grab perpetually, but perpetual, alright? The not necessarily the root word, but, you know, one of the main form, alright? Perpetually is just going to be doing something in a perpetual state. What does perpetual mean? Perpetual means never ending or changing. All right, in the you know, incessant. All right, never ending, eternal, permanent, unending, endless. All right, without end, lasting, constant, abiding, enduring, perennial. All right, timeless, ageless, deathless, undying, unfailing, unchanging, never. Esau's changed. Well, no, they don't say Esau. The white man has changed. No, he's not. He has a perpetual hatred. Never changing, changeless, unvarying, unfading, invariable. All right, unchanging, perennial, endless, unending, permanent. He hasn't changed. He's the same Esau that he's always been. All right, the same devil that he's always been. He hasn't changed. He's like that around the clock. Non-stop, never-ending, reoccurrent, habitual, chronic. all right, on unremitting, all right? They're like this continually, occurring repeatedly, so frequent as to seem endless or uninterrupted. All right, they have not changed. They're the same devil. They wanted to kill us back then, as we're going to get, and they still want to kill us to this day. All right, it says, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. That's Esau. He still hates us. That's why when they write articles, why did God allow a jerk like Jacob? You know, fucking wimps. All right, go cry about it. You know, go cry about it. As Street Teacher says, you're going to go cry in your car. All right, go cry in your car. All right, bear with me while I grab a drink. All these voices have made my throat dry. All right, so it says in verse 38, and Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also. Bless me, please, please bless me. Because he, you know, he wanted this blessing so bad, yet he sold his birthright already as for some soup, man, or some raw meat. All right. It says, bless me, even me also, O father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac, his father, answered and said, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. So if you look up what fatness means, if we go in the Good News translation, and I don't know how, this might have to be put into two parts, unfortunately. I don't want to do it that way, but fucking, I gotta go down to the goddamn plantation again. You know, the last day of the week, all right, for work, and then I get my days off. I just can't wait, man. I can't wait, because I just want to be able to sit and just, the work's a fucking vexation, because you just want to sit and do your lessons, and then you have to work, and you have to go around all that schedule. We're fucking done with it, man. We're vexed with Babylon. We want the fuck out of this place. So Genesis 27 and 39, all right, speaking of that word, fatness, it goes back to the word, what is it? Let's see how he pronounces it.
Strong's H 4924. Mishman.
All right.
Second entry.
We don't need it. Mishman. All right. So fatness, meaning none of these words. So it's not your dwelling shall be the olive oil of the world. That doesn't make any sense. All right. It should be fat pieces of the world. That doesn't make any sense. The fertile spots are places. Okay. And here's the thing. If you look up the ghetto where Jake lives, does this look fertile to you? Look, the grass ain't even growing right. All right, look at this. You know, and they have one tree, but that's not, you wouldn't consider this, you know. Look. Talking about the Pink Houses project. All right. Does this look like a fertile place to you? No, there's grass. No, that's not what it means. Okay? It doesn't. It looks like shit. This isn't a place you'd want to live, man. All right. What's the other one? Brownsville projects. All right. And sure, there's gonna be trees. All right. But this look. This definitely isn't the fatness of the earth. All right. Fatness of the earth. Of course, they're not going to give it, but if you fatness, fertile, all right. And if you look up a mansion, that is a fertile place. Even the grass grows greener. Alright, that is a fertile place. You go, there were some trees. What about that? Is it that? Is it that? How about this? Is it that? No. How about this? Is it that? No. How about this? Well, that's a from Minecraft or something, but how about this? Is it that? No. No, it's not. No, it's not. This? No. How about this? No. How about this? No, it's not. Alright? The projects don't look nothing like that. That's the fertile places. Alright? You can't grow shit in the ghetto. Plant a seed. See how it works. It might grow, but you know it's gonna grow with all sorts of chemicals and strychnine and Agent Orange and all sorts of weird fucking poisons in it. Eat it and your fucking face blows off. Alright, you can't eat that shit. Alright, no one's growing anything in the ghetto. Alright? So maybe some flowers, and even if you do manage to grow a tomato plant, it's definitely not, it wouldn't be considered the fertile places of the earth. Alright? So Genesis 27:39, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above. And by the sword thou shalt live. So you're going to be a murderer. You're going to get your way with a sword, right? By the sword thou shalt live. All right, you're going to be a murderer. And thou shalt serve thy brother, Jacob, right? And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, when you have the ability to. Well, shouldn't they be in servitude then? Wouldn't that mean, wouldn't they be in servitude? Listen. And when thou shalt have the dominion, let me start over. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Jacob and Esau hated Jacob. Now let's go back. Let's not stop telling that. So, what is this speaking of? This is speaking of the 1,000-year period, all right? That they would call the Dark Ages, all right? The Dark Ages, all right? So, and of course, they covered up with white history, but the Dark Ages was the Dark Ages for multiple reasons, all right? One, because there were dark people ruling, all right? It was a dark time for Esau, right? They didn't like it, all right? And the Dark Ages was the time, and if you look at the pictures, as they always do, it's a bunch of white people, all right? But white people are on the bottom, all right? Meanwhile, Jacob, all right, so-called black people, Moors, and so on and so forth, were ruling, okay? They were the kings and rulers. All right, they were the kings and rulers. All right, and just as Esau always tries to lie and make everything theirs, they say, oh well, that's why the Edomite, the white people are actually the people of the Bible, because if you look at the medieval sigils and heirlooms, they're all biblical. They're all biblical. A lion, a deer. Where do you think they got those from? More than likely, they got those because they were already established during the Dark Ages, and when they came into rule, they just took them into the same thing. If you look up Dark Ages, I just said the word heirloom. Just look up medieval heirlooms, I guess. Not heirlooms. What's the word? Crests. If you look at them, all right. There you go, Naphtali, right? With the, there we go. So, a lot of these look very familiar. Hell, if you look up the deer, look at that. Why is that? Just gotta think. Alright? So, but they were able to get out of that after that 1,000 years. Alright, I don't have the ability to go in. That's a very heavy topic. So if you want to learn more about the 1,000 years, I'd recommend watching one of the Apostles' videos about it for sure. Alright, because I can't go into all about the 1,000 years. There's a lot of history, a lot of scripture, and it's very deep. Okay? So I'd go and watch them. All right. I know. I think Apostle Aromalov has done a lesson about it before. All right. Excellent. All right. Go and watch that if you can. Again, not familiar with the names, but if you dig on the channels, I'm sure you can find something. All right. We can go there right now and probably see if we can find something. Maybe not. Maybe so. Let's find it. Where is it? I always pass it. Just look up. Revelation 20, the 1,000 years and the nations. Look at that. Boom. That's probably the one right there. So go and watch that. Okay? Go and watch that. So, where were we now? Yeah, so when you have the dominion, you're going to be able to break that yoke off your neck. All right? You're going to be not under Jacob anymore. All right? In verse 41, in the point, it says, And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then, all right, so now I'm going to mourn for my father, but then I'm going to kill my brother Jacob. It says, then will I slay my brother Jacob. He's going to say, the days of mourning, I'm going to mourn for my father at hand, but after that, I'm going to go and I'm going to kill my brother Jacob. That's what he said, all right, because he's a murderer. All right, the true nature of the Edomites, part 1. They love to kill, all right, because he's a murderer. He's a murderer. Sing, or whatever, however the song goes. All right, fucking, who is that? Barrington Levy. All right, so them are murderers, right? So, hey, that's who they are. Them are murderers, man. All right, as the Islanders would say, the Benjamite brothers. All right, them are murderers. Okay, they love to kill. All right, them some vampires, right? Blood clot. So that's what they are, man. They're a bunch of, just they're evil, man. They're evil, vampire murdering, blood sucking moes, right? They're just a terrible people altogether. So that's Esau for you, man. All right, we got a rundown of what type of person this is. All right, so he gets very upset. All right, he makes bad decisions and he kills. Okay, and who is that? That's literally, and we also got what type of person he's gonna be. Back when Isaac gave him the blessing, it said, "By thy sword thou shalt live." All right, if you live by the sword, what does it mean to live by the sword? Not live by the sword, die by the sword. We just want to know what it means to live by the sword. Let's see. If you live by the sword, if you had a Jake said, I live by the gun, all right, that means what do? You kill a lot, all right? So you shall live by the sword, all right? By the sword, and by thy sword shalt thou live, okay? By killing, murdering, right? And you can get another touch on that if you go to Amos 1:11, where it literally says, because he did pursue his brother with the sword. What does that mean? If we get the Good News Translation, man, I just wish I had more time today. Because I got to get wrapping this up, and I've only got one scripture because two scriptures, but we've been doing a deep dive on it. Alright, if you get the Good News Translation, it says, what verse we were in? 1:11. It says, that doesn't. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna even read it because it takes a lot away. It just takes a lot away from it. I guess I'm not gonna even waste my time with it because it's more edifying in the actual King James version, because this, I guess I'll read it. It says Amos 1:11. The Lord says, the people of Edom have sinned again and again, and for this I will certainly punish them. They hunted down their relatives, the Israelites, and showed them no mercy. Their anger had no limits, and they never let it die. All right, and I guess it's good, but I still prefer. It packs more of a punch in the King James version as it usually does, right? So I like this. This is better. Can I just type in anything? Can I get like Amos 1 and 2? Okay, well look at that. Yeah, I'm gonna save this. Boom. Save that down there for a minute. Alright, so I don't forget it. But yeah, I mean, the site's good. I like the King James version better. I think it packs more punch, as it usually does. Alright, we'll leave that up. I don't know how, man. I'm gonna get one more scripture just because I want to. Alright, I gotta get heading out, but I'd rather be here making this lesson. This place is a fucking vexation for sure, man. Micah 2:1. All right. So showing you more about who Esau is, Micah 2:1 through 3. How long have we been going for? 30 minutes. It says, Micah 2:1, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields. What does it mean to covet something? That's speaking of Esau, by the way.
Covet.
They yearn to possess or have something. They desire it. They crave it. I want that land. Right? And they covet fields and take them, how? By violence. How did they take America? By violence. How do they take some of these other places? By violence. All right, when they go over somewhere and they want it, how do they get it? By violence. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his heritage, even a man, Slakia. And they Slakia, let me slow down. And they take them away, so they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, against this family do I devise an evil, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for this time is evil. So the Lord's going to mess these people up, all right? The Lord's going to mess these people up. Why? Because all they do is kill, all right? The true nature of the Edomites, part 1, they love to kill. They love to murder. That's what they like to do. They like to kill, slaughter, murder, put to death, whatever you want to call it. Live by the sword, right? That's how it goes. That's what they like to do. They just like to shed blood, all right? They like to shed blood, okay? I'm going to get one more scripture. Let's get Obadiah 1:10. Says Obadiah 1:10, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Right? Because as it says in Obadiah 1:10, let's go back there. Not Obadiah 1:10, as it says in Micah 2:1, or 2:3 technically. In verse 3, says, therefore thus saith the Lord, behold, against this family do I devise an evil punishment, judgments coming to Esau, right, at the hands of the Lord. It says, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for the time is evil. You're not wiggling your way out of this one, Esau. And going into Obadiah 1:10, what does it say? Continuing on with that same matter. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. All right, because of all this blood, this bloodshed, you killing and you hating your brother, and you're pursuing him with the sword, right? And you killing not just Jacob, but all the nations, but most notably Jacob the most, because you hate us the most, right? And you just love to kill. You just love to kill. Let's get Ezekiel 35:6, and I'm just gonna try to get through this because I want to. Ezekiel 35:6. Might have to rapid fire it a little bit, but I don't want to do, when I'm doing part videos, I don't want to have part videos in parts. It's just confusing. All right, and I'd like to be able to have more time, but stuck in captivity in Babylon, right? Ezekiel 35:6 says, therefore as I live, saith the Lord our power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sith thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. So Esau, because you like to, and to tell, well, how do we know this is talking about Esau? Well, if you scroll up and go to verse 1 and 2, it says, moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it, and say unto it, thus saith the Lord our power, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. Who lived in Mount Seir? All right, look it up. This is all it takes. Mount Seir is the ancient and biblical name for a mountainous region stretching between the Dead Sea and the Gulf of Aqaba in the northwestern region of Edom and southeast of the kingdom of Judah. Who lived there? Who lived there? Oh, what is the significance of Mount Seir? The primary significance of Mount Seir is that this mountainous region was the territory that the Most High gave to Esau. Esau, right? That's who he gave it to. So no getting way around that. All right. So it's not talking about, the Lord wasn't mad at a mountain region. All right. He was mad at the people that were dwelling there. Who were those people? Edomites, Esau, Idumeans, right? So he said he was going to stretch his hand out against them and make them most desolate, right? destroy them. And down in verse 6 it says, therefore as I live, saith the Lord our power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Who? The Edomites. Why? That thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee, because you love drawing blood and blood sport and killing and slaying and murdering and slashing throats and chopping arms and dragging people behind a horse and buggy and ripping them in half and putting them in Iron Maidens and stretchers and all this stuff, because you like doing that and hanging people and lynching people and chopping people's organs up and doing all that, right? Because you love doing these things, right? Blood's gonna pursue you. All right, you're gonna be killed. You're gonna be slaughtered. A great number of your people are gonna die. All of them, to be exact. So well, except for those few that are stored up, all right, for the elect, and of course, most notably, first and foremost, Yahushua to get his portion, all right, to get his reward, right, and then of course for the elect to get their slaves. The people like the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, right? Those people think they're gonna go and be underground and they're gonna escape the devastation, which they will. But they're not going to escape slavery, because guess what? You just basically preserved yourself you basically put yourself into a little tuna can, and the Lord, when he's ready, he's going to, after the destruction's done, he's going to peel you right out, pop open the can of that tuna can, pop, and then he's going to pluck you out, and guess what? You're going directly into captivity, all right? You know that Monopoly spot that says go directly to jail? Well, Esau, you're going to go directly into captivity, all right? That's what you're going to do. And you're going to be working hard, boy. All right, you're going to be picking, everything that you did to us, you're going to be doing. You're going to be picking cotton. All right, you're going to be building buildings. All right, you're going to be burying the dead. It's going to be bad for you, man. All right, you're going to work your hands to the motherfucking bone. All right, it's going to be, to the bone, man. You're going to probably work so hard, you're going to be wearing through your skin. All right, blisters and boils and all sorts of shit. And we know you can't deal with sun, and you're going to be out in that hot sun, and you're probably going to be getting rashes and sunburns and boils and blisters and bumps and all these terrible things. You're going to be in pain. You're going to be tired, man. And just like how you worked us to the bone and we just wanted rest and you wouldn't give it to us, the same thing's going to happen to you, man. All right, you're going to want rest. Please, please, please. And guess what? We're going to say, nah, keep building. Keep building. I want this shit done by tonight. All right, and guess what? You're going to have to do it, all right? Because if not, you're going to get your ass whooped just like we would. All right, but guess what the difference is between that's the difference between me and you, right? This old song. You know what the difference is? Is that we're going to be doing it in righteousness. You were doing it for wickedness, man. All right? You had no reason to do it other than the Most High was controlling you. You did it for greed of gain. You did it because you were evil. You wanted to, make money and profit off of us. All right? We're doing it because we're repaying you for what you've done to us. You have to be repaid. All right? You drew blood, and your blood has to be drawn. All right? You put us into captivity. Now you have to go into captivity. All right? That's just how it is. That's part of our reward. You have to do it. You can't wiggle your way out of that one. All right, you're going into captivity, boy, and you're gonna hate every bit of it, and we're gonna love every bit of it. All right, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's just how it's gonna be, man. That's just how it's gonna be. Okay, so let's continue on, because you didn't hate blood, right? You loved blood, so now guess what? Blood's gonna come after you. Your blood's gonna be drawn, and you're not gonna like it so much when the tables are turned. All right, let's get Isaiah 14 and 20. It says, thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Again, going back, you've slain people. You love to kill. You love to kill. You love to kill. You love to kill. You've destroyed the land. You've destroyed a beautiful land. Okay? You have utterly destroyed a beautiful land. All right? This place used to look great, and you have completely fucked it up. All right? You've put mercury and poisons and oils into the ocean systems, and now you got fucking glowing puddles and shit. All right, radioactive fucking everything. All right, the bushes don't grow as good as they did. You removed all the natural fruits. All right, the fruits taste like shit. The meats taste like shit. And every year it gets progressively worse. All right, if you go back 20, 30 years ago, the food wasn't as good as it was 30 years before that, and it wasn't as good as 30 years before that. Every couple of years it gets worse. All right, and if we were here for another 20 years, we'd be eating nothing but a fucking block of plastic, man. Soylent fucking Green or whatever shit. All right, so it would be based up. Eat your plastic tube sustenance. All right, as you suck it out of a fucking Colgate tube. All right, and it gets worse and 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 worse, man. A lot of the rice you're eating isn't even rice. It's plastic, man. It's plastic, and it's not like you could tell the difference because rice doesn't even barely have a flavor. I don't really care for rice. I'll be honest. So it's not like you can tell that you're eating plastic, because it all tastes like shit. All right. So hey, So and all the food tastes like shit anyway. So you couldn't tell. All right. The meat, who knows the meat, man? The meat is largely a lot of the meat is a lot of meat glue. All right, look it up. All right, a lot of the steaks are not even real steaks; they're just glued together. All right, with meat glue that's usually made up of protein, meat made up of a protein from pork. That's right, from pork. All right, so that steak that you're eating is really just a pork steak. All right, with a little bit of beef in it. So, and I'm never gonna eat beef now. Calm down, Jake. All right, you don't know what's in the food. All right, what are you doing? Drinking that water? Guess what? There's pork in it. Better not ever drink water again, Jake. Ever. Can't do it. All right. So where were we going? For 21, verse 21. It says, verse 21, Isaiah 14:21 says, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, because you are your fathers, right? It's a reincarnation, right? It says that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. So the Lord's going to make sure that you don't rise again and try to populate the earth again. Let's get Habakkuk 2 and 4. We gotta rapid fire these. I said Isaiah. All right, Habakkuk 2 and 4 through 8. It says, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. That's Esau. He's proud. Neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, because you're a thief. That's another one we could do a lesson on, because you're a thief. You steal. All right, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? Check it out. It says, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, murdering, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. And we're going to get verse 9 as well. It says, woe unto him that coveteth an evil covetousness into his house, to his house, Salakia, that he may set his nest on high. Let me start over. Habakkuk 2 and 9. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. All right, we got one last one, Numbers 35 and 33. Numbers 35 and 33, and there's more we could get. We just don't have time, unfortunately. We're already cutting it, probably going to be a little late, but hey, Lord's work comes first, and Lord willing, I won't get in that much heat from it. I have, one of the guys I'm cool with was working today, so we ain't going to give a shit, Lord willing. So Numbers 35 and 33 says, so ye shall not pollute. Here we go. This is the one we're going to close off with, right? Numbers 35 and 33, so ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land. And Esau spread a lot of blood everywhere. It says, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it, which means you did a lot of killing and you have to be killed a lot, E. All right, you love to kill and now you're going to get killed. All right, the Most High is going to mess you up, man. The Most High is going to mess you up and you ain't going to like a single bit of it. All right, not a single bit of it. You're going to hate all the way through. You're going to be crying and snot coming, we don't deserve this. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. All right, you're evil as fuck. All right, you've always been evil. All right, from day one after that happened, I want to kill my brother. And then they have the spirit of Cain, and what did he do? Killed his brother. You just love killing. You just love blood. You love murder and blood sport and gore and violence. That's what you love. It's your favorite thing, E. That's why you put it in all the video games and all the shows, and then you make it fun. All right, you make it fun. All right, games like Halo. We'll admit they're fun, but what are we doing? Just a bunch of killing. All right, who's the games usually programmed by Edomites? All right, and that's the true nature of the Edomites. All right, they love to kill. All right, so that's been part one. Salakia, brothers and sisters, we're not having as much time as we'd like to. It is still a good, decent amount of a lesson, 44-ish minutes. I'd like to have gone longer. I would have liked it to have been around an hour. But, hey, you got to do what you got to do in this captivity that we're in. All right, it's going to be our time soon. All right, just remember that, brothers and sisters. So, hey, with that, we're going to close out. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to elders and apostles at Great Millstone that taught me this truth and rule well. I want to say shalom to you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring, keep the faith. We're almost out of here. stay tuned. Look out for the new lessons coming out. I'm gonna have to, Lord willing, they'll come out. Hey, at the end of this week, I'm gonna have to transfer all of these to my other channel, because of course you're watching this on the backup channel. So I want this. This is a series, man. I want this to be on my main channel. But Esau, the little baby-backed bitch that he is, had to go and strike my channel. So my main channel. So hey, they like to play games, but guess what? The Most High is gonna come and mess you up. All right, for all this wickedness and death and all the things you've done, the Most High is gonna mess you up, E. All right, so hey, shalom, you brothers and sisters. Hey, until the next one, Lord willing, shalom.